Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I am going to contact the Trans Lifeline organization and tell them that they should share this video with their members. So you could be quite famous after this show. And I'll get your phone number so they can contact you. But there's two other issues I want to bring up, and one I didn't even mention before the show, but we talked about it on Facebook a while ago, and I know Jackie's going to have strong opinions on it. But the first two I want to talk about before I hit Jackie with a little surprise, but I know she'll have strong opinions on it, is we recently lost two very famous musicians, Chris Cornell and this week Chester Bennington. And Jackie, it's a horrible tragedy that we lost two such gifted musicians. And talk about the impact on society when we lose two such famous people in a very short time.
It's severe. Chris apparently died first. Chris Cornell died first, and then
Chester Bennington.
Chester, sorry. I've been pretty busy. Chester died second, and yes, it has a really profound effect on society when these big name type people die by suicide. I think of many people. Robin Williams, of course, my all-time favorite. It brings us all to a place of sadness and reality that this continues and continues and continues, and it continues to be on the low. It's like one of the lowest rings on the totem pole in terms of treatment, and it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, it doesn't matter how many people you know, it doesn't matter how loving your family is. Suicide, illness, or death by suicide is not discriminatory, and it's starting as young. I've heard of like 9, 10, and there's the groups that it's really hitting. In fact, are the young people. More 14-year-olds have died in the last few years by suicide than in car accidents or by cars. That's just shocking. Secondarily, our elderly are dying by suicide at staggering rates, and it's not even discussed. And then thirdly, we have this middle-aged male thing happening with access. That's generally with access to guns and weapons. So having weapons around, we have a big opioid addiction problem going on right now, which Congress is spending all kinds of money. But it's the mental illness first, and then the opioids second.
I'm glad you brought that up, because when we go back to Chris Cornell, one of the issues that they talked about was he was on a medication that one of the side effects was suicide. So, thoughts on that?
Yes. Yeah, that is a concern. Psychotropic drugs are not exact. They're not exact. They don't have exact effects. So just like diabetic drugs don't have exact effects. It's trial and error. If someone is, let's say, manic, which means that their mood is elevated, but they're not, let's say, manic when they see the doctor, they may be let's say, in a depressive state, which is what we call a bipolar depression. But if the doctor doesn't know anything about the person's history of mania, they may prescribe something, an antidepressant, to lift the bottom of the person's mood, not knowing that they may be manic. So what happens is the medication might flip them into a manic episode, and the person can go out and do dangerous things. You don't really know these, these side effects of all medications, I think they all have some type of side effects, and
So you're trying to. It seems like you're
And
saying that
we
there's,
don't know what
there's
they
more
are.
than just the medications.
oh yeah, a medication is not going to make
Right.
you do that, but
Contributes.
let's say I would say 0.00001% of people who take an antidepressant will make them take their lives.
Right.